Hello and welcome to another edition of the Leader Campus Voices. I'm Mel Wildermuth, and with me today, the interview is with Matt Clark. And Matt, as I'm wearing my baseball hat, spring training has begun. He's a senior manager of the group tickets and hospitality for the San Diego Padres, not the Detroit Tigers, I'm sorry to say, but he's probably thrilled to be with any of the teams in the sports industry, especially baseball, because that's still my favorite sport. So thanks for agreeing to the interview, Matt. I appreciate it.
Well, Mel, thank you very much for having me. I mean, anyone who's a baseball fan, I can certainly support, regardless of the fact that you're wearing a Tigers cap right now.
And you being from Cleveland, working for Cleveland for a few years, like, as you said just prior to the interview. One of the things I want to ask is, so you have an article that says 4 things every senior should know looking to land a career in sports. So what is your best advice for people looking for landing that job coming out of high school area or college?
Well, everyone's path is going to be a little bit different. I think one of the most common pieces of feedback that I end up giving is based around the principle of persistency, but also being patient at the same time. Being someone who's in the sales industry, ticket sales specifically, teaching my reps the value of follow-up. And really that's the same process for trying to acquire a job as well. From what I've seen, there's been a lot of students who are just extremely picky. They're looking after, for example, if they want to work for the Oakland Athletics, they're set on the Oakland Athletics, they're set on that one job in the marketing department with the Oakland Athletics. And really from there, if they get it, great. If not, well, that's when panic mode starts to creep in a little bit. So with that being said, it's being persistent. So if you're following up with if you want that job with the Oakland Athletics, you can't follow up once. You got to be persistent. I think a lot of college students think that they're being a little bit of a pain in the neck with follow-up, where in all actuality, like, we're just busy. We may see one email, we may follow up, we may not. It's not intentional. We don't mean to not follow up with you. But the more persistent you can be, I mean, oftentimes the better. Then also that comes patience. I mean, not everyone is able to just land a job ready to go their day after they graduate from college. For some people, it's going to take a couple months after that, but ultimately the balance of patience and persistency are really the 2 things that are important to me as when I speak with students.
And in addition then to the persistency, what else do you look for in a young candidate coming in? What kind of things do you look for? Because I'm sure that many others on in the Leader Campus have the same type of eye in looking for people to hire.
I really preach, and it's the same thing here with the Padres, that attitude plus effort equals results. So throughout our interview process, I'm looking for someone who has a good attitude. Now, a lot of those things are going to be intangibles. I try to grill the candidates a little bit on, explain to me some times where you may have been in a situation where you've had to overcome adversity, put yourself in type of negative situations just to see how they respond to those types of things. Effort, also a tough thing to measure in an interview, as of course you hear the same thing all the time. I'm hardworking, I'm motivated. Well, thank you. You're now person number 205 who just listed the same 2 qualities. So for me, I think effort, I found a better way to measure that specifically. And that has been based upon what have they done? What are they involved with when they have been in college? As I found that there's often, and not always, a direct correlation amongst the activities that they're a part of. So for one, are they working full-time, part-time, whatever? Everyone's in a different situation. So for someone who has to work full-time and then plus balance school because of their financial situation, I'm not going to look negatively upon them because they didn't have time throughout their college academia to be involved in X, Y, and Z. But if not, if you're just going to classes, what else are you doing on top of that? Essentially, I'm looking to say, okay, you've gone to class, and then what else are you doing? Whether that's a job, whether that's you're a part of this sports team, whether you're part of this club and whatnot. But seeing that diverse resume, with just making sure that it's full, is what I found has had the biggest translation into effort. And then ultimately, those things have turned into results at the professional level.
At the professional level, stress is a big thing. It is for a lot of other people as well. How do you recommend And what do you do to relieve stress?
I've been, so for one, I guess taking a deep breath, which is what I did right there. But no, I was just thinking about the quote that I've said quite a few times recently. So I always live by the saying, like, control what you can control. Um, but I've recently added on to that: control what you can control, but realize that you're never the person who's in control. As in, that could be based on your faith beliefs. That could be just from, growing up. A lot of times your parents are the ones who are in control. My job here with the Padres, obviously I have a direct report, and, they're in control and they have some certain responsibilities. So just knowing there's only so much that you can do, but at the end of the day, what happens is going to happen, which is why I kind of tie things back around. Attitude is something that you can control. Your effort is something that you can control. The types of people that you surround yourself is something that you can control. So, I'm a big believer on those things specifically. And I found by just doing those, oftentimes it is something that relieves stress. And I think going back to what I had spoken about before with patience, if you're looking for instant results tomorrow, you're going to have a lot more stress, and understanding that every single day is one building block after another. That's eventually going to build a foundation for you. That's eventually going to build, one bedroom of your house. That's eventually going to build an entire home. But people see, hey, I want to become a general manager. Hey, I want to become a VP of X, Y, and Z department. And they think that individual got there instantaneously. But what they don't know, if they were to go in a time capsule and look back on what they did as a college student, and then their first internship, and then their first entry level job, that things didn't just happen miraculously. Things just didn't happen one day after each other. So that patience really comes into play with relieving stress and understanding you can only do so much.
I was fortunate enough to teach overseas, and I was in a position to work with a lot of higher CEOs and people of that nature. And I know that you're in charge of hospitality to some extent there with the Padres. How do you deal with some of the people who feel that once they get into those high positions, it's their right to ask for anything that they can get or anything that they want, and they're rather incessant about it sometimes, like free tickets or free whatever?
So are you referring to entitlement within the workplace, or entitlement with,
in both situations,
my peers who are trying to mooch on me for free tickets all the time?
Yeah, in both instances.
Honestly, I think that kind of goes back to what I spoke about before, just with the entitlement, with the surrounding yourself with good people. From what I found, I really haven't been in too many situations where entitlement has had that big of an impact on myself specifically. I actually see it not so much on the manager, directors, VP level. I actually see it the most from entry level to that first full-time opportunity, or even sometimes from college to that first entry level opportunity, because for your entire life, for the most part, there's been this structure. I'm going to go to, I'm a child, I'm going to go to elementary school, middle school, high school, college, first job. But then from there, it's a little bit ambiguous as to what's going to be next. So we found that there's a lot of that entitlement from college to that first entry level job. I did it. I spent these last 4 years building this foundation. Now I've made it. Sometimes people don't feel like they've made it in our world on the ticket side of things, because inside sales is really that feeder system to become a full-time account executive, or for us just taking on more responsibilities, as our inside sales reps are full-time as well. So then getting to that next level, they're feeling that sense of entitlement a little bit. So really, I think we've seen a little bit more at those entry level jobs, as people feel like, I finally have now made it. We were able to weed some of those people out at that portion, or really it's not us weeding them out. It's them kind of weeding themselves out, realizing like, you know what, this isn't a career that I want. And I guess that word really transitions nicely, career. People aren't entitled if they look at as much entitlement if you see something that this is a career, this is what I want to do long term, because you're consistently looking to get better, striving for continuous improvement. You really see a long-term future for yourself. So there's no place for entitlement because you haven't made it yet. And I believe in the philosophy, like I've never made it. I'm just trying to perfect my current craft. And I know if I do what I needed to do, and back to what I said before, control what I can control, the opportunities are going to present itself. Because you never stop growing, you never stop continuing to get better. So, quite frankly, I guess I just don't really personally believe in entitlement. I think that's something that has allowed me to surround myself with other people that really don't believe in that either.
And well, if the Padres came down and said, Matt, what position would you like to play on the team here? Because we need somebody to substitute. What position would you take?
Well, immediate reaction was catcher, third base, as that's what I played growing up. Unfortunately, with the Padres, we have Austin Hedges who's going to be manning the behind the dish for a little bit, and we already have a big logjam over at third base. So I'm not sure I also want to compete against Headley, Spangenberg, and Swahe, and whomever else might be in play. So, but yeah, I mean, I grew up. Baseball was such a impactful sport in my life. It was a sport that my dad and I really bonded over. He coached me all growing up. Grew up on the East Coast, so he brainwashed me to root for the team in pinstripes over there on the East Coast. But now it's all Pods all the way, and I genuinely say that not just because they're the team that pays your paycheck, but because once you've been here for 4 years, you're just immersed in the culture, you're immersed in the city, you're immersed in the people. So to be a catcher for the San Diego Padres would be a dream of mine. Unfortunately, my talent and my weak throwing arm and hitting ability are going to prevent me from doing so. So I'll just stick to adult softball for now.
How about, do you have the look, and what does it take to be a general manager of a team?
Everyone wants to be a general manager.
Yeah.
Understanding, number one, how smart those people are. Understanding what those backgrounds of those people are. I think there's a lot of college students, not just college students, anyone, that really just don't understand what it took to get there. And what I mean by that is a lot of those people have degrees in finance or economics and are very, very smart people, along with the fact that they have a passion for business, and typically along with that they have a passion for baseball. So it's a hybrid of all those things versus I love baseball. I understand the game. I feel like I could sign the right types of players. There's more involved with the analytics side, the business side, plus the baseball side. So number one, typically having an education and sometimes a higher education in business, finance, economics, something where you're learning those types of traits are super valuable and typically very common from general managers. Secondly, not only that, but so now you spend 4 years plus maybe another 2 years of your master's degree. So 6 years of education. Again, here comes that little bit of that entitlement. Okay, I'm ready to jump right in and make an impact with the team. Typically, at that point, what you see, now you got to start all the way at the bottom of a scouting department, and you're really doing very menial type things. And I can't speak specifically with what they're doing, but you're not making, I actually had an inside sales rep who I had hired 4 years ago and realized he wanted to go that route. And he found himself realizing pretty quick that becoming an inside sales rep with the Padres wasn't going to transition him into the scouting department. There was nothing that I was teaching him other than maybe some communication skills and interpersonal skills that were going to translate into evaluating talent. So if you want to become a general manager, be a smart person who's going to most likely have some type of college degree in business analytics, finance, whatever. Typically that's helpful. Typically an MBA is helpful as well. But then starting at the bottom on a scouting, player development type role and earning your worth. I've seen a lot of people get into scouting because they were a college coach. I've known people who've worked for Baseball America and they've put out those rankings every year and they've proven that they can either recruit top talent or they can analyze top talent. So having something like that to get your foot in the door on that path, and then from there you pretty much make your own story based on the type of impact you have with an organization.
A lot of them come from the college ranks as well as former players for universities or colleges.
A lot of them are. Yeah, a lot of them are where they've at least played at a point in their lives, and typically it's because they have a passion for the sport, right? A lot of, not to say that the current GMs didn't at one point when they were in college say, "Hey, I want to become a GM," and people laughed at them, just like sometimes we laugh at some college students now just because of how oblivious they are to how to get there. But that doesn't mean they can't. you look at our general manager specifically. I mean, he has a degree from Cornell. He's an extremely smart person, but also has a passion for baseball. So that creates a really good recipe.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say thanks a lot. It's a great way to start off the school year, not the school year, the baseball year. So, Matt, I appreciate you and coming to allow me to interview you. And I always give an opportunity for people to plug something for their time period spent here speaking with me. So let's plug those San Diego Padres. What do you want us to know about them?
As I said before, with trying to break into the sports industry, I use the word patience. And where our fans and those who are following the team, we got a really good thing going, and we're super excited for what the future has in store. I think a big sign in getting that foundation was our recent signing of Eric Hosmer. But then going down into our minor league systems, we've seen the guys like the Renfros and the Margaux and the Hedges, start to make an impact at the major league level. Plus now, I mean, we've been ranked in the top 3 in the minors here for the last couple of years. So we'll start to hopefully see some of those pitchers this year and then into the future. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't interact with the guys on the operations side, so or on the player ops side. So take that with a grain of salt, as I'm not the expert on that. But I can say personally, I'm very, very excited for what the 2018 season has in store for the growth of our team. And I'm even more excited to see what 2019 and beyond have for the San Diego Padres. So for those people who have been a part of this ride since, this year, last year, and here moving forward, it's going to be pretty special once we have a team on the field that's going to be winning championships in the near future.
What about ticket sales? Have they been quite good? And how has it changed over the years? Is baseball as popular? It seems to me like it's becoming much more popular over the last few years than it has been before.
It has been. It has been. I mean, baseball is continuing to grow. Personally on the ticket sales side of things, working for the San Diego Padres, we have the largest sales and service staff in all of Major League Baseball. Really? And I think, a reason for that is we want to have, stable results year in and year out. Specifically for myself, I work in our group sales department, which I help oversee our 14 account executives, which, that team's the largest in Major League Baseball. But the reason why we've invested in such a large group sales department is our group sales team, they are able to drive groups of 20 plus bachelor parties, birthday parties, company outings that really aren't determined on or don't play as much of a factor of team performance. And it's not that we just have that model now because the team hasn't had the type of success these last couple of years than we would have liked. We'll continue to have that same type of structure here moving forward. But I guess tying everything in a loop, controlling what you could control. Mm-hmm. And team performance is never anything that we can control. So we have the sales philosophy of really trying to build deep and meaningful and impactful relationships with our group leaders, with our season ticket members. So it's more than just wins and losses. It's literally an opportunity for you to create memories with your family, to create good opportunities to get face-to-face with customers and your clients. So we're an entertainment venue. Baseball is going on in front of you, and obviously that entertainment is going to continue to get better and better here these next couple of years. But all those things aside, people love America's pastime. They love coming out here and just enjoying 3 hours of undivided attention with whomever they want to spend that with. And that's really only something that I feel like you can genuinely get with baseball, because you don't have as many distractions like you have in the NFL or the NBA or hockey. So I love all those sports as well. I'm not dissing them by any stretch, but to me, there's really something special about baseball that I love.
I agree too, and I hope that sometime we'll see the San Diego Padres and the Detroit Tigers in the World Series, and maybe the result will be the same as it was in 1984 when they took them in five games.
Hey, well, I would love for the Padres to make the World Series. Who are playing? That's totally up to the American League. But hey, if it's the Tigers, all I can tell you is I hope the results are different this go around.
Okay, thanks so much, Matt, for talking with me, and best of luck to you as well as to the San Diego Padres.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.